How's everybody doing? It's TJ with Roller Skate Universe. Um, Today's subject is actually going to be support as far as high top boots. This one always gets argued. It will never stop being argued until the end of time. Everybody, just like anything else, everybody has their own opinion and what worked for them and expects it to work for everybody else. But we're just going to go over the actual science behind it and kind of explain why these things are, some of them don't actually offer support at all. So, a little bit of a backstory. I worked in rinks for years all over the United States. And every time somebody would come in to buy roller skates, of course, a lot of people would come in saying the same exact thing. Well, I need support, so I can't do that low stuff. And we'll get into the low cut side for just a little bit, but this is mainly to emphasize on the high tops. Okay. High tops do not necessarily offer support. Some of them do, and some of them don't. Where they actually technically get a lot of their support from is from the uppers and their counters. And, for example, I had a customer come to me today and had me remount their Reactor Neo off of this Rydell 172 OG and put it onto a set of Adea Rondo boots. Mr. Taylor Wayne in San Antonio. These ones are for you. I did that this morning. So I noticed something with these, and it's pretty obvious what it is. But what I found disturbing was this, okay? The fact that this flops around. So a lot of the same skaters that are talking about, I need ankle support, go for a high cut boot all the time. There's a couple of things that kind of work against it. One, having a heel. So having a heel and having your center of gravity raised up in the back, so to speak, can actually cause a little bit of instability, a little more wobble. It does pitch your foot forward and place more of your weight over the balls of your foot. But here's the thing, with some of these boots that are like this, and they can move like this, you actually stand a better chance of rolling your ankle, whether it's high cut or super high cut like these. You can see this moves around like this. Now, where it would actually gain some support is if it was laced up all the way. But nobody's really doing that. In fact, what they're doing is they're going down to around the ball level of the ankle and wrapping their laces around here like this. I want to delve into that a little bit. There's a reason why that is a very, very, very bad thing. Because what happens is those laces, when they're wrapped around the back like that, what they do is they actually squeeze in on your Achilles tendon like so and limit your mobility. And over long term, it can cause damage to your Achilles tendon. So it's not a good thing, really. I understand that it is a style thing, but it is not correct. It's actually very, very bad for you. Now, if it has a hard counter, which is the stiffener inside of the boot, if it's very, very, very stiff, and these things can vary in stiffness by model, it's not really going to help the support immensely. The only thing it's going to do is keep the foot in place. This is debated often, but the fact still stands that those counters really don't do that much for support. What does is having a stiffener that runs up the entire height of the boot to keep this from happening. So the less of this there is, the more technical support there is. Now, real quick, I just wanted to get into the low cut boots. So I'm going to say this one here. I can't really show a lot of it, but this one here, okay, The thing about these is that there's no heel, or there's very little heel right here. And what that does is it actually flattens the foot out, and it makes the posture neutral. So the same amount of weight is actually getting pitched on both the front and rear trucks. So if you hit any obstacles or anything like that, typically your foot remains flat, and it makes it harder to actually topple over, which is also why I prefer a low top over a high top for a outdoor skate, because if you hit rocks and something like this, having your weight pushed forward and lean forward, what this does is this actually creates an arch in your back, which can also cause back problems. Sorry, but that's true. If you talk to a chiropractor about wearing high heels and things like that, they'll tell you the same thing. They're terrible for your back and everything else because it causes your back to arch, to overarch, to overcompensate. So with high top boots outside, I find that since my weight is further forward on those, what happens is when I hit rocks, I'll just topple over. But with a low cut boot, it stays flat, and usually it'll just push right over. So for me, it works better. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. Don't crucify me here. It's a matter of choice. But through science, that lower center of gravity in the back will help quite a bit. So if you do have back problems and knee issues, I wouldn't necessarily go for a set of high tops. I personally, I'm putting off some spinal stuff myself, and I know for a fact that running these high tops has actually done quite a number on my back, and I keep having to go back to the chiropractor ever since I started running them. And my skating has kind of taken a different creative direction, and albeit gotten just a little bit better, but I can't do it. They say that having high tops increases control. It increases control over your front end because more of your weight is emphasized on the front end. So just clearing up some of the fallacies behind running them. Now, the other thing about these things is that if you're going for support, anything that you can right out of the box just fold over is just going to be it's going to be a no-go. Usually you can do the squeeze test. You come up, I call it that. Please don't go on all these these pages on Facebook and things like that and start talking about a squeeze test and, oh well, TJ, don't do that, please, because I've heard all kinds of dumb stuff over the last year. Roll test, spin test, none of that crap exists. It's dumb. It's made up, and it's made to sell you stuff. Look, if you go into a pro shop and you can just do this, this is not support. I don't care. This is not support. In fact, you got just as high, maybe if not higher, chance of rolling and maybe even dislocating your ankle in something like this. Look at this. I can just do this. How is this support? This is not support. I don't care what anybody says. This is not. If you want a supportive boot, go for something that's got a little bit of bite to it. As far as a squeeze, that takes a little bit of effort. But guess what? All this right here moves as one unit. All this is now fused as one unit. Sorry, wife's leaving. So all this is one unit. There's your support right there. Does this make the leg, ankle, and everything else impervious to injury? No, it does not. This does not make any part of it impervious to injury. It does actually lessen the risk. It really does. Sorry about that. It really does lessen the risk, but it does not eliminate the risk. So, if you go into a pro shop and that takes a good little effort to squeeze a little bit, there's more support. Stiffness, it kind of does equal support. There are several arguments on some of these pages. that say otherwise, but the truth is, I mean, you see a lot more rolled ankles in a boot that flops around like this than you do in a set of boots like that. You normally don't. Talking about support, though, I want to circle back on that. People talk about, well, I have to have support, and them low things ain't got it. Well, the truth is they have just as much, if not more. And here's why. I'm going to show you two different sets of wheels here. You ready? Here's where we get into science, and I love science when it comes to roller skating. Right here, you got some roller bones teams. Okay, these things right here are about 30, 31, or 32 millimeters wide. Take them like this on a truck, and that's it. That's your width. Okay. Well, what happens if you say take that same plate and you pop these on here, these snaps, or any speed wheel? Okay, these are 44 millimeters wide, 62 by 44. That width, that additional width that it has over top of this, never mind the diameter, that width, the fact that when looking at this, it is a square versus an elongated rectangle, or a vertical rectangle, sorry. And on the same truck that has a wider footprint, guess what typically tends to have less injuries on it? Low tops. Typically, low top skaters tend to have less injuries related to the ankles. Guess where they get their support? From the wheels. Because the wheels actually keep your ankles upright. Plus, coupled with the lower center of gravity, having your heels down actually prevents a lot more injury. So it's just food for thought, but you can already tell. Look here. Look at the difference. See right here? That extra width right there is actually what keeps your ankles stood up in a speed skate. And it works. Or you can be crazy like me and you can run these all-American dreams on a low top, because I'm just crazy like that. I like to do some different stuff. I'm experimenting with a lot of things right now. But yeah, to summarize, if anybody ever tells you, yeah, I had to get high tops because I needed support, usually that's kind of a fallacy. So you don't have to have high tops to get support. This is TJ with Jam Physics and Roller Skate Universe. Happy skating.